What double standard disgusts you? If you owe a company money, you will be charged interest/late fees/service interruption almost immediately after the due date. If a company owes you money, you might see it in 4 to 6 weeks/2 to 3 billing cycles. If you always arrive to work late, you're in big trouble. If work never finishes on time, shrug, no big deal. This is infuriating for me in a sales position. I constantly stay late or even have to come in on my off day to finish up a sale, because that's how I get paid. We still have scheduled hours, but me showing up 5 minutes late won't make a difference towards my paycheck, because those 5 minutes definitely won't make me a sale. But they treat it like it's the absolute worst thing I could do. They've pulled up lists for each employee showing how many times we've been late by the minute. I was told I've been late 8 times for a grand total of 15 minutes over the last 6 months. This includes from lunch breaks as well. And I was told this was unacceptable and put on a warning. This same thing was said to majority of our sales employees. But we get no praise for working overall and finishing deals. It's crazy. I offered to work extra hours in a salaried position to get the company over a hurdle if they do the honorable thing and comp me hour for hour for my trouble. Outright refused, because you're salaried, even though my giving up a few weekends would make a huge difference for their bottom line. So when they tried the extra hours mandatory free overtime thing later, I told them to piss up a rope. Right now in Canada, we're in strict lockdown, but a dozen of our politicians have been found vacationing around the globe. In other words, we can't bury grandma at a funeral, but these politicians can go work their tan. Thankfully, many of them have resigned in the last 2 weeks. In America, the politicians can barely get the words out of their mouth by the time they're breaking the rules. None of them ever resign either. Hell, in California, a city councilwoman literally voted to ban indoor dining and then immediately went out to eat following the vote. Fellow Albertan here. They haven't actually resigned, they're only being demoted out of their parliamentary roles. They're still going to be MLAs, except for Kenny's chief of staff, who was hired not appointed. Like for example, Tracy Allard resigned from her municipal affairs minister role, but she's still the MLA for her riding. It's disgusting the entitlement these people have. Banks/businesses can immediately withdraw money from your bank account, and apply all their disgusting fees. But for banks/businesses to give you money, you have to wait 7 to 10 business days for the funds to appear. To verify funds for a check, the other financial institution legally has a few weeks to provide proof to rescind funds from you. So when a financial institution clears a check instantly for you or within a few business days, financial institutions are actually already risking themselves a loss. Instances when you do have to wait for 7 to 10 business days, if the check amount is too large, you are a new client, or you are doing an external transfer from an account you haven't done before, then you're technically waiting the actual time for those items to process. But can you imagine if everyone had to wait 7 to 10 business days for everyone's checks to clear? It would be madness, so financial institutions have to weigh those risks. Manager at a bank. Politicians not following their own COVID guidelines. It has become rules for thee, but not for me. Always has been. Business should do whatever it takes to get ahead, but if the employee tries to make their life better, or find a new job, they are lazy and ungrateful. Recently on here there was a thread about employers hiding the pay for a posted position. Most people hated it as it was a waste of time to get to the point where they are willing to tell you the pay, and it's an insulting amount. A few people were defending it. One guy said that it only makes sense for the employer to hide this from you and try to manipulate you about pay. From the employer's point of view, they need to pay you as little as possible, and if they post a salary, then people who want more than that will not apply, so no chance to underpay someone who is worth more, and they will have to deal with people who aren't good enough for that meager salary. So according to this guy, really, it's for the best that they try to screw you with hidden a salary for job postings. He's saying this as if we're supposed to just agree with it and not stand up for ourselves and just bend over and take it. But us demanding to know the salary during the first contact about a job? Unacceptable. How dare we try to interfere with the company trying to screw us? When I leave a job, I'm generally expected to give 2 weeks notice so the company isn't left without essential things being done. When a company decides to let me go though, no warning to start putting in applications or saving more money. You're just gone. Total horse shit. Not in countries like Germany. It's harder for the company to get rid of you than you leaving. Depends on the company. Some will give you notice. Others will give severance pay in lieu of notice. Some will do both. This is one of those sort by controversial posts. Amen. That was a terrible fucking idea. The employee should give 2 weeks notice, anything else is unprofessional. But the employer will actively obscure their intentions until the very last minute. I trained my replacement once, who had been introduced to me as my assistant, so obviously I wanted to teach them the job properly. I came into work after my weekend and was called over by my boss and told that my assistant had transitioned into my position and thank you for helping them ease into the role. Edit, I did not realize so many people went through the same thing. Holy crap. My last boss had a nasty habit of, upon finding out that an employee was moving to a company we did work for / bought equipment from, he would call said company and tell them if you hire X person, we'll never work with you again. Then he had the audacity to tell me that it was unprofessional of me to tell him I was quitting day off. If I wake up at 4 PM and go to bed at 9 AM, I'm lazy, do nothing all day, etc. Wake up at 4 AM, bed at 9. You're seen as a responsible member of society. Doesn't matter if you work the exact same number of hours, make the same money, do the exact amount of housework. I 100% agree with this. My family always makes snide remarks about me sleeping late, but praise themselves for going to bed early. Like, okay, but I got a ton of shit done while you were asleep. Nobody ever says get a load of lazy bones here, off to bed in the middle of the afternoon. Your example is making it sound even better than it really is, in my experience. I have relatives that go to bed at 9 PM and wake up at 8 or 9, so 11 to 12 hours in bed every day, and then when I go to bed at 4 AM and get up at 10:30 they complain about me sleeping all day. Child predators. Both men and women should receive the same charges. Also, when abuse happens outside the familia, it is the worst thing ever. But when abuse happens inside the family, people tend to say that it was not so bad or something. It does not matter where the abuse happens, it is still abuse. People should be held more accountable for their actions. Probably a bit late and will get buried, but the one that probably affects me the most directly is that idea that if I have my kids out with me alone, I'm either some miracle from the heavens doing God's work, a stranger actually said that to me, or hearing the is it daddy's day to babysit? Fuck you Karen, the first M, the stay-at-home parent, and IT's not babysitting when they're my fucking kids. Mr. Mom came out in 1983 and I still can't get a break about it. The bar for being a good dad is super low too. Being able to dress my son and change his nappy does not make a super dad, merely a competent dad. See, this just sucks for everyone, both mom and dad. Anything the mom does is expected and the dad gets treated like he doesn't have a right or responsibility to be a parent. Absolutely useless double standard. Those romantic comedies with the cliché beautiful and smart woman married to the dumbest fuck of a guy who is lucky to have her. Swap the roles and see people flip out. At every Adam Sandler movie ever. Every time I see one of those movies I check to see if the male lead actor had a role in producing it. Cigarette butts. They're not biodegradable and it's a fire hazard. We have issues with coffee cups, plastic bottles, etc., but we're totally fine with cigarette butts. If you're a smoker, make sure it only hurts you and nobody else. I just don't understand why smokers feel it's okay to leave their butts on the ground, toss them out the window, and so on. They'll be within 10 feet of a trash can and still just litter. Why is this acceptable? Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.